Thanks, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Chairman, for convening this committee hearing today. It's important. I appreciate all the panelists for being here. One of our panelists recently indicated that one or two crimes, we shouldn't focus on one or two crimes that we've seen across America. And yet in one recent 15-month period in Maricopa County, the largest county in Arizona, more than 3,600 criminally violent illegal aliens were released back onto the streets of the state's largest county. There are two things to point out about that. We know they were criminally violent because they had been in the system, charged and convicted of crimes, and yet they were released without being deported. And so I appreciated particularly Ms. Vaughn mentioning the Grant Ronnebeck case, where Grant, an unfortunate 21-year-old convenience store clerk, had been brutally shot and killed for failing to deliver a pack of cigarettes to a criminally violent illegal alien who had been convicted and yet was on the streets of Maricopa County. And that's why I introduced Grant's Law here in Congress, which should pass. It is a no-brainer, and it requires the very accelerated due process requirements that Ms. Vaughn has mentioned to deport these criminally violent illegal aliens from our country within 90 days. I wanted to talk specifically with regard to you, Ms. Vaughn, with regard to the apprehension rates reported. If we were to look at the apprehension rates historically, we would see that there were consistently over 1 million people, sometimes more than 1.5 million people actually apprehended at the border, and that began to slow down. And 2006 was the first, 2007 was the first time reported apprehensions actually began declining below 1 million. But all experts talk about apprehensions, border apprehensions, and this is the southern border, versus the multiplier effect of people who actually cross and remain in the country. That those numbers have been, the lowest number I've ever seen reported was opined by several U.S. senators to be about 4 times the actual apprehension rate. Last year, 415,000 illegal aliens were apprehended at the southern border. More than half were other than Mexican nationals coming into this country. So I guess my question for you is if you would please comment on the multiplying effect and whether the numbers were accurate for that 10-year period under the Obama administration, where we saw the actual apprehension rate dip as low as 330,000 in 2015, whether that was accurate, and how that, in the reporting, please.
Well, unfortunately, the Border Patrol does not have full situational awareness to know that important number of who was not apprehended. There was a very credible study that was done, commissioned by DHS, that found that in 2015, the estimated apprehension rate of people trying to cross illegally was only 54%. So, you know, that suggests that there's at least one person succeeding for everyone who's caught. And there is also a low apprehension rate of people trying to enter illegally at the legal ports of entry, people getting through in car trunks or as imposters or whatever. And most concerning, there is the high rate of people who are caught by the Border Patrol, but who are allowed to enter anyway, either because of policies or because of the prioritization policy imposed on the Border Patrol in November 2014, where they were told to let people go if they claim to have been here before January 2014. The head of the National Border Patrol Council has said that at that time, he estimated the Border Patrol agents were letting as many as 80% of the people that they encountered stay in the country.
Thank you. Sheriff Hudson, thank you for being here as well. We previously talked about drunk driving and gang membership being disqualifiers for remaining in this country. I just want to relate the story of Brandon Mendoza, Mesa's police officer who was driving in 2014, March of 2014, almost exactly 2 years ago, when an illegal alien who had been apprehended at least 3 times, once committing crimes in Colorado, had a legal blood alcohol limit over 3 times the legal limit in Arizona, and had driven on a freeway the wrong way for 33 miles when he hit Officer Mendoza's car and killed him tragically.
Time of the gentleman has expired. Will he ask his question?
Yes, thank you. My question is, do you think enforcement of immigration laws by local agencies have a chilling effect on community participation or reporting of crimes?
Congressman, I don't think so. I believe that the crimes that are happening in our communities, if illegals are not going to report those crimes, it's no different than what happens in America with criminals, people who have done something wrong. I don't understand why people have a problem with people feeling afraid that they've done something wrong in this country. If you have done something wrong, you should feel afraid, and you should be concerned if you violated the laws. And so I don't think any more than anyone else in our country, if you've done something wrong, there are going to be people who won't come forward. There are others who will. But the realities are that these things are happening in every community throughout the United States.